Publicis Sapient was named among the Horizon 3 market leaders in the HFS Horizon's Generative Enterprise Services report. And this report, the industry's first to compare global professional services firms for their services in this space, became our largest to date, with 35 global services companies and advisors compared. One of the reasons Publicis Sapient stood out for us is the way in which it leverages its integrated speed capabilities to help drive value for clients on their generative enterprise journeys. SPEED, SPEED, stands for strategy, product, experience, engineering, and data and AI. In each of this short series of HFS videocasts, I'm joined by a Publicis Sapient leader to explain the impact of one strand of the SPEED approach as applied to the generative enterprise services. And in this edition, it's Sheldon Montero who looks after the P for product of the SPEED approach. Welcome, Sheldon.
Hi, David. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Let's cut straight to it. How does your product team integrate generative AI in digital business transformation for your clients?
David, product is fundamentally about helping our clients to achieve outcomes. That means choosing the right products to build and building them at pace with the right amount of flow so that we are testing and learning. And when we look at generative AI, it helps with both of those activities, choosing the right things to do and then doing them with speed and quality. You've got various enablers. Happy to go into them with you.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about some of those enablers, just at a high level.
Sure. So, let's split those into the two parts, right? So, when we are thinking about the right products to build, as Dan already in his conversation with you from a strategy standpoint described, our strategy team figures out where to play and how to win, essentially the big opportunity areas for a business. My product teams take it from there. We are figuring out now that we've got those value areas or value pools identified, what are the right kinds of propositions we can bring to market? What might the features and customer experiences look like? Working with the engineering teams and our experience teams, it's our job to really work with our clients to figure out what those valuable things that customers are going to love are going to be. So let's take an example, right? So, with our work with Marriott Homes and Villas, for instance, it used to be that travel was all about when you were booking travel, you had to know your destination and your dates. But now we can start much earlier in the imagination process with what do you want to do? And based upon that, we can look into Marriott's inventory of different locations and take you into a search experience that is now designed around your hopes and dreams and wishes. And that's just one of the possibilities of how we can use Marriott's enterprise data and expose that through a discovery experience that delights customers. That's the first part, David. The part around, and we've talked about extensively in the press around the advantages to developers using generative AI to develop code. But the truth is, generative AI really supercharges both product managers as well as agile program managers. Everything from backlog generation, ideation, user research, just general research on a space and in a business space, looking at what competitors are doing. You can accelerate the job of product management and really create better value outcomes through that. And then from an agile program management, all about the task of planning, estimating story points, sequencing and identifying dependencies. We've seen that our product managers and agile program managers can get time savings of anywhere between 10 and 30% with the use of these tool sets. And so it's not just about accelerating engineering per se, but we see that these advantages extend across the speed lifecycle: strategy, product, experience, obviously engineering, and data.
So what I think you're telling me is generative AI is impacting not only your internal EX, it's also impacting, of course, the customer experience, and it's changing the way products are being developed and the speed at which they can get to market, which is all. It's a massive transformation that generative AI is delivering. From your product perspective, I'm just wondering what that means in terms of what's the kind of holy grail look like? What's the really good look like here? And what you think needs to be achieved to reach that level.
See, the way we look at things and the way we've always looked at things is, and the reason why we have product as a capability versus projects is that we believe that we've digital maturity is all about a move from project oriented metrics, which are time, scope, and cost, right? Your typical things that a project manager focuses on, to a focus on speed, quality, and value. That doesn't mean that time, scope, and cost are not important. They still are. But we are obsessed with how fast can we get an idea to life, right? And to be able to test it. And in order to do that, you've got to move as quickly as possible from that idea to putting something into the world. Do that with a high amount of quality and really obsess over the value and then iterate and test and learn from there. And to the points we were talking about earlier, on the value side of things, choosing the right and valuable things to do, we are seeing generative AI help with identification of value propositions, but also just make different things possible. Take, for instance, everything we do with customer experience. It used to be that something like personalization was all about figuring out what pre-packaged pieces of content I could show to a prospect or a customer. But now generative AI makes it possible not just to identify, customers on a one-to-one basis, but also to create really relevant and valuable content that can go almost to a segment of one, to a single user, right? To a single human being, and to tailor that and make that economically feasible to do. So just our ability to create those value propositions is tremendous. And then, as we talked about, also on speed and quality, you just have so many enablers that accelerate the product development process itself. It's kind of like applying this law of marginal gains, where there are so many different interventions you can apply throughout the develop idea to live value stream, and apply the new tools that just makes it possible to speed up and do things with higher quality.
So there's quite a lot of change happening as a result of this new technology that everyone's talking about. So I guess one of the challenges is keeping up with that internally. How are you training and upskilling your product teams to thrive in this new era?
It's a great question. As a services company, our most important product, if you will, is our people. So we obsess over training, as an industry. But within Sapient, at a high level, we have different tiers of training. So there is a baseline level of training where everybody needs to learn how to speak to the AIs, to be well versed on our ethics and responsible use guidelines and policies, and the tools and processes that we use there. Once you get past that initial layer of training, you then get into what are the specifics for different job families and job classes. So what are the kinds of tasks and interventions that our product managers need to use, both in terms of the kinds of prompts they would use with a conversational AI, and also in terms of the specialized tool set. Like for instance, we've developed a backlog.ai tool that plugs directly into our tools like Jira and other ALM tool sets. So training on those tool sets, etc. One of the things that has really unlocked and accelerated adoption for us, David, has been to enroll really collective learning. So what we do is we split our teams into cohorts of about 20. So 20 product managers, agile program managers. Sometimes we mix this across crafts, but we put these cohorts together to learn together and to share their learnings about how they are applying their learnings in practice in the field. And we find that cohort-based learning produces the best outcomes, because it's not just about the theory, it's not just about the application, but it's about sharing their journey together and working together as a team, supporting each other. And that's been hugely valuable for us.
Sheldon, that's fascinating. I think there's some key learnings for others there. The idea of, particularly around collaboration in training, that it's not a single person trying to get ahead of the pack, but you're working together to try to achieve shared goals. As a really useful insight, I think, as we all tackle the changes that are emerging for us. So, Sheldon Montero, thank you very much, and I'm wishing you all success in the future.
Thanks, David.